All right, guys, so we are reviewing for your trimester exam. Woo! Okay, so we're going to start with graphing functions. Now, keep in mind that this study guide is only to recap some notes, and the actual studying and questions are going to be tomorrow in class. So if it confuses you, hopefully tomorrow when we actually have problems in context, it will make more sense. Okay, so the first thing is we need to know our shapes of our 4 functions that we've talked about this year. Linear, quadratic, absolute value, and square root. So a quadratic looks like a U, and it might be helpful if I actually open the program so I can write on this. Give me a second. A lot of technical difficulties this morning. This is now my second time re-recording this video. Not that you guys care. All right, quadratic. U-shaped. Absolute value. V-shaped. Square root. Only continues in one direction, the other side has an endpoint. Keep in mind what's underneath is all the calculator steps, so how you type those into the calculator. I know that most commonly, these two are the hardest to remember, so please make sure you are studying those steps. Okay, interval notation. When we're graphing them and discussing certain intervals, we're talking about interval notation, and we write those using parentheses and brackets. Set notation involves the less than symbol, which is here, and the less than or equal, which is here. Okay. When we're writing the domain of a function, we're talking about the x values, and the x values run from left to right. When writing the range, we're talking about y values, and y values run from bottom to top. Okay. If a function goes to positive infinity, and what we mean by that, it looks like this. Okay. Positive infinity. That means it has no maximum. Okay. But it does, in fact, have a minimum value. And vice versa, if I go to negative infinity, my graph's going to look like this. And that's the opposite. That means I have no min, but I do have a maximum value. Okay, and I know we don't normally switch pages, but we are going to switch pages, so please flip with me. And we are going to do, oh, something happened. Oh, there it is. Okay, we are going to do the top at linear function. So this part should be a little bit more familiar since we just finished this unit up. So a function is linear when there is a constant rate of change. And that's just a fancy way of saying slope. Okay, the slope tells us the amount that is being added each time, and the y-intercept is the amount that happens once. Okay, so these two are especially important when we're talking about in context of a problem, so think back to your performance test yesterday when we had to do that. So we've been pros with the calculator step, but I want to make sure we remember we use that for correlation coefficient and linear regression. Those steps, just to recap, are stat, edit. Then after you type in all the numbers, we go to stat, calc, lin reg. Recap correlation. A correlation is strong when the correlation coefficient or R is close to -1 or 1. So the closer it gets to that end of that scale, the stronger it is. And it's weak when R is close to 0. So if you think back to your vocab sheet when we had this picture, it is strong when it's at the ends, but weak when it's closer to the center. Okay, so please bring this with you. This is going to help when we actually talk about some of these questions tomorrow. See ya.